Yay.
Okay. And now this one. Okay. Got that. Okay. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Saturday Morning Mastermind. And okay, Samantha, on this AI, do I have to do anything?
No, it's good to go.
Okay. Okay, sorry about that. So good morning, welcome everyone to the Saturday Morning Mastermind. Samantha was not able to set up and log on as she's not at home with her laptop and stuff, but she is still joining us from where she is. I'm glad that she's here. So I'm going to kind of run the show today, but before we get started, we're going to be starting some more on the book. What's the name of it? Hunting Discomfort, and
Discomfort.
who's it by? And who's it by? I don't have the book yet, so sorry.
Sterling Hawkins. It's Hunting Discomfort by Sterling Hawkins.
Okay. And so I'm here with my friends Lori, Kenneth, Samantha, and Catherine. So I'll let them jump out and take a minute to introduce themselves and go from there. And then Catherine, as always, do you mind reading for us again? You do such an awesome job. Okay, so go ahead and jump out, introduce yourselves, and then we'll get started.
Hello, folks. Lori Emmons in Denver.
Hello.
Dan Sisick in Las Vegas.
Samantha out here in Florida today.
Ooh. Oh. Is it me? Oh, Kenji? Where am I? I'm in Maine.
This is Catherine Clement. Good morning, everyone. We're going to get started. Let's see. Avoiding discomfort means you'll have to live with it. That's where we're starting. Trying to see a page number, but I don't. If anybody sees the page number, you can throw it out there. Avoiding discomfort means you'll have to live with it. Whenever I introduce the concept of hunting discomfort in workshops, there's always someone who initially bristles at it and insists they don't have to hunt discomfort, they're already surrounded by it. Yes, true, whether it's difficult relationships, business challenges, health issues, or something else, we all have discomfort in our lives without having to go out looking for it. And usually, so much discomfort that priority number one is just getting some relief, not looking for more. Here's the harsh reality. You're not dealing with your discomfort. If you have that much discomfort coming at you, that means that on some level, or every level, you're trying to avoid it rather than doing something about it. And, by the way, the doing something about it is the hunting discomfort part. Because if you don't deal with your current discomforts, you're accepting a lifetime sentence of living with them. You ever hear the saying, better the devil you know? Well, here's that devil. Most of us prefer to stick with the particular and familiar discomfort we already have than face the new discomfort, the discomfort of something new. After all, anything new is unknown. In practice, this looks like delaying tough conversations, putting up with jobs we don't like, or struggling financially to make ends meet. And you guessed it, avoiding or delaying discomfort leaves you with the same results you've always had, and likely the same complaints about them. I don't have enough money. There aren't enough hours in the day. If I just had fill in the blank, everything would be okay. That's not hunting discomfort, that's living with it. Discomfort doesn't sound so unappetizing now, does it? Unleashing the power of the unknown. If you want to accomplish any breakthrough for yourself, things are going to get uncomfortable at times. It is going to require figuring out how to do things that you haven't done before. Hopefully, no surprise there. But this is where tapping into the unknown works to your advantage, starting with the unknown power that resides within you. When researchers first started studying the brain, they expected to see vast amounts of information processing power. They found it, but not where you might expect. Although our subconscious mind, below conscious or awareness, is able to process millions of bits of information from our eyes, ears, skin, and other senses, most of it is lost to what we're actually aware of. In fact, our conscious mind filters out all but about 0.000000455% of it. That's like having a supercomputer, but instead using an abacus. Although we might not consciously be aware of it, that supercomputer has answers for you. The challenge is that it speaks in sensations, images, and emotions, some of which might be downright unpleasant. Remember all those symptoms of discomfort? If you ignore these subconscious messages, perceived threats from the past will continually reintroduce and will be continually reintroduced until you're ready to process and resolve them. I'm not a doctor, but it seems to me that those ghosts of the past might be linked with the anxiety epidemic that appears to be sweeping the planet. When you do tap into the vast resource of the subconscious, you open yourself up to opportunities for discovering ideas, connections, and resolutions that may be entirely new to you or to the world. From embracing discomfort to hunting it, here's where it gets interesting. We are not limited to working only with the discomfort that arises naturally. After all, most people have designed their lives to avoid discomfort so much so that they might not even know where it is anymore. So, we're going to have to proactively hunt it, find the greatest rewards. Discomfort is a divining rod that can point you directly where you need to go in order to find what you're searching for, be it more money, a growing business, closer relationships, or even more joy. Waiting for discomfort to find you is like waiting to work out until you happen to be in a gym. You limit your opportunities to work out and grow stronger in all the other moments of your life. Hunting discomfort works the same way. The more situations in which you are engaging with discomfort, the better you get at dealing with it in any situation. It's a muscle you can build. Discomfort is discomfort, whether physical, mental, or emotional. Our biological and neurological responses to any form of discomfort are nearly identical. Researchers at the University of Michigan published an article in Science titled, "Does Rejection Hurt?" Using the latest brain scanning technology, they found that the brain signatures of processing emotional discomfort were nearly identical to those resulting from processing physical injury. Further, the treatment for different types of discomfort appears to be interchangeable. Physicians published a study in Psychological Science showing that taking acetaminophen reduces emotional pain as well as physical pain because the brain uses the same neural or very similar pathways to process discomfort. Now, I'm not suggesting that you pop a Tylenol the next time your feelings are hurt, but I am asserting that if our cognitive processes are similar for different types of discomforts, then we may be able to identify some universal responses for embracing any type of discomfort. Hunting discomfort strengthens what I call your discomfort muscle, increasing your capacity to handle greater and greater levels of discomfort. By hunting that discomfort, you expose yourself to the unknown and naturally build the courage required to deal with it. Or, stating it from a more scientific standpoint, increase the ability of your nervous system to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. This brings me back to Singapore. You want me to continue?
Maybe.
Okay. The way out is through. Give me just 1 second. Being in Singapore to speak at that conference wasn't a mistake. I had deliberately sought out the experience without really understanding why. This was the genesis of my hunting discomfort path, don't forget. All I knew was that I was at a moment in my life where I had hit rock bottom and I had to do something, anything, break the complacency of despair that had taken a hold of me. I'd just been on one hell of a roller coaster ride. I'd started a company right out of college with my dad. We sold it to a group in Silicon Valley, and it went on to become part of the Apple Pay, before Apple Pay, a biometric payment service where you scan your finger for access to an electronic wallet. We raised $550 million at a multi-billion-dollar valuation, had offices all over the world, and employed over 700 people. I was riding high with first-class plane tickets, a swanky office, a gorgeous girlfriend, and a penthouse apartment just waiting for me. It was like a scene from The Wolf on Wall Street. And then the global housing market collapsed. Our investments dried up, and within a blink of an eye, I was jobless and broke, and my girlfriend had broken up with me. Hopped up on anxiety medication, I went from penthouse to parents' house. I was so attached to what I thought I knew about myself and the world that I was left questioning if I could go on or if I even wanted to. That's where I was the day. Just a second. That's where I was the day I was listlessly staring at the computer screen and a spam message about a business conference randomly popped up. At that moment, one of my mom's sayings immediately came to mind. She used a lot of adages when I was a kid, like, it's cheaper to milk a cow than buy one. What? Or, don't take any wooden nickels. I still don't know what that means. But the saying that came to mind that day and suddenly made perfect sense was, the way out is through. Okay, it turns out that's actually a quote from Robert Frost, but to me, it will always be my mom's. If I wanted to get out of the situation I was in, I had to go through discomfort. Without thinking, I clicked on the reply button of the spam message and wrote, "Why don't you have me speak?" Best, Sterling. Before too long, I got a message back from the conference organizer offering to discuss my suggestion. And after several conversations, I was offered the opportunity to be the conference's keynote speaker. I accepted, terrified, and then worked my tail off on the presentation and tried to acclimate to the severe discomfort I had of public speaking. All through those months leading up to the conference, I was driven by the unrelenting discomfort and fear of what I had agreed to take on. Only when I stepped off the stage after delivering my address did I finally feel some blessed relief. I think I had blacked out during part of the speech. I was so nervous. What a journey it had been. Little did I know the journey was actually just starting. The conference director sought me out immediately, despite my attempt to hide from him. He looked me in the eye and said, "Sterling, that's the best talk I've seen in all my years of doing this." To this day, I'm not entirely convinced he heard the same talk I gave, but I will remain ever grateful to him for the chance to speak at the conference and for going on to refer me through his networks. With some hard work and more discomfort than I knew existed, I pushed through, and on the other side, I discovered a brand new career. As I started to realize, just a As I started to realize that the way out is through discomfort, I began to look for it anywhere and everywhere. I found it in stories throughout history, many of which you'll read in this book, and in all corners of the globe, including as I trekked through the Sahara, went cage diving with great white sharks near Seal Island, close to Cape Town, and experienced many other adventures with my no matter what community members. With each step on the journey, I felt myself and those around me getting stronger. I'm going to have to stop there. My voice is going, guys.
Okay, thanks again, as always, Catherine, for reading for us. Anybody have any thoughts to share?
Oh, my first thought was the whole concept of Tylenol being able to affect your emotional pain. That's pretty
Yeah.
crazy there. I was going, huh, isn't that interesting? I'm gonna have to try that the next time I'm upset about something. I know he wasn't saying, here, try this, but that makes me want to try it anyway.
Well, it's on that end, I've never really looked at it that way. I just have always taken it for if I have a, you know, a pain here, a pain there, or whatever. And as I get older, I get more pains in different places that I didn't used to have. So that is an interesting thought. Hey, Jason, glad you're here and back. I hope you can work out whatever you were trying to work out, so we can hopefully see you. But the idea of hunting discomfort, yeah, I'm one of those that's kind of really bristling at that because I really believe I have way too much discomfort in my life as it is now. Why do I want to go hunting more just to try and it's gonna sound funny the way try to just get myself to, I guess, be okay with it, or it's a weird way of looking at it in my head, I guess. It never thought of it that way. There have been times though where I've made the choice to go ahead and just jump through and get through something because I figured if I get through it, I'm done, I'm over, and move on, and don't have to deal with it again. But a lot of times we end up repeating, as we've learned in other books and other things we've read about, gone through that. Sometimes we repeat things a lot until we really get the whole picture of what it's about. So I'm still a little on this side of the hunting the discomfort yet. I'm not sure I'm ready to go hunt it yet. So looking forward to reading and hearing more about what he says on this.
I
Yeah, I'm
can
right there.
totally,
Oh, go ahead,
oh,
Lori.
go ahead. I
Yeah, I was
just,
gonna go. Okay, I'm muting. You talk because you're already on mute.
now all that messed me up. I totally understand the idea behind looking for it, because even speaking publicly, that's a fear that I think most people have. And it's not so much a fear, but a discomfort. I'm uncomfortable doing this. And I have spoken, I think, once in front of a auditorium, and I felt like I didn't even say anything sensible, and everyone said it was great, whatever. And of course, who's going to say, no, you screwed that up big time? Nobody's going to tell you that. But I totally get it. Every aspect, even spiritual, emotional, physical, mental, and spiritual, because you can get in some very interesting religious or spiritual situations that you may or may not want to be involved with. And so it can affect every aspect of our lives. And so much of it is ingrained in the first 7 years of our life, where we really aren't in control of how we are instructed and nurtured and taught. It just your, what some people call your inner child, what they went through and how it affects so much of what you do and how you respond to things or react. Go ahead, Samantha.
Oh, sorry, I walked away from my phone. First, I wanted to comment on the whole Tylenol thing again, or that aspect, and that it makes me recognize how so many people that are emotionally hurting are like self-medicating and not, we don't even realize that's what's happening. Like when people are, drink a lot of alcohol or take drugs or whatever it is, that they're doing that, and that's maybe what starts it, is they're getting that actual relief in the same way that he's referring to, like a medication. So I thought that's just really fascinating, and explains a lot when it comes to that kind of thing. But this whole concept of hunting discomfort, when you already have a lot of discomfort in your life, I completely I get that too, because I mean, shoot, how many times do things come up in our lives where we're triggered by another person in some way, and we become reactive to it, and our reaction is trying to avoid it. We lash out at people because we want them to stop whatever it is that they're doing that's triggering us to feel uncomfortable. And I experience that all the time, and I know that it's stuff that's like unresolved inner turmoil. And I get what he's saying, where, you're not going to overcome that unless you face it, unless you dig into it and see what's going on with that. And then the next time you're triggered, is pushing through that and overcoming it versus, turning around and running away, trying to run away from it, or just lash out at the other person or whatever. So I get that. And of course, I mean, anytime it comes to doing something new that's uncomfortable. I mean, a good example of that is exercise. I mean, when you exercise, it gets uncomfortable after a bit. And but yet if you keep pushing through and pushing through, then you get stronger and you get stronger, and it hurts less and it's less uncomfortable. And but so many of us, like myself included, I'll get going, and then it just is like, oh, okay, I'm done. And then, I'll do it for a few days, and then, no, I don't want to do it anymore. My muscles hurt too much, or whatever it is, So I get it. I understand that concept.
It was funny the other day. I was having some issues with something, and I really got really irritated and really upset. And nobody was around, nobody saw me, but I kind of lashed out in a way that I've done at different times over the years when nobody's been around, because in that way, at least I'm not affecting anybody. I'm not, but because there have been a couple times in my life where I got so pissed. One time I punched a brick wall, and then another time I punched a street light pole, just because I was but I had never realized where that might have come from or why I did that. And then I don't know why. Yeah, it basically hit me either yesterday. I think it was yesterday, as I was driving around and thinking about something totally with somebody else. But then I could feel the tension inside me, and it's like, and then it hit me when my real mom, when I was little, aside from locking herself up, and stuff and things like in a room. But when she would come out, there were times where she'd just lose it and throw things and this and that and the other thing, and and I saw that as a kid and lived with that for a number of years. And, so like you said, Lori, growing up and seeing and living what you see around you is the normal within your house. It can kind of become part of you. And when I realized that yesterday, it just really hit me. I'm like, wow, I never even realized I knew I had that part of me that my mom had. But yet, being her son and her firstborn, why wouldn't I have some of that? But it really, it was eye-opening thing to me, for me personally. So I think it was a growth part on my side, to recognize that now a little more. And it's like, okay, so now moving forward, how do I work with that so that way when I have issues that really bother me, uh, I don't let it get to that point, you know, because luckily, I don't ever do it with anybody around, or like my mom did. She just, and I think that's part of it. I don't ever want to be that out of control, but I have those moments where I feel like I can't get whatever is in me out of me. And sometimes I think that's the way I do it. And it was an eye-opening and learning experience. And that's one area I want to work on to try and figure out, okay, so what will work? So that way, when I know that something's really irritating, how do I work through that to get it past it and move on rather than let it fester, I guess, so to speak, or really bother me.
Yeah, I think that kind of response or reaction, punching brick walls, how's your hand?
It's so weird. I never did damage to my hand. It's so weird. So I don't know if there was so much adrenaline or what or whatever, you know. And nobody was around, so I can't, say, um, because once again, I just, you know, don't want to. In my mind, I don't want to lose it in front of somebody else, because then I don't want them to think of me as, okay, what's wrong with you? Why, you know. But um, but yeah, oddly enough, it never did any major damage.
This
Well, you
book
got to
is
find some softer stuff to hit. Go ahead, Kenji.
this book is very similar to the elevator one. It's going to be deeper than we probably think it's going to be. I mean, I'm a little bit judgmental of a man who, had a $500 million, public offering on software, telling me that he's got bad days or that he struggles internally. But um, keep an open mind, I think. I think that when he's talking about, you know, looking for the discomfort, um, the opposite of that would be to go away from the discomfort, which it doesn't work. Um, this morning I did my meditation, and my meditation, I had a lot of feeling for just how fragile the human psyche really is. Um, super, super fragile, especially when we're really, really, really young and we are relying on our caregivers for everything. It does not take much to damage a psyche, and that person can be, in a situation, as Gabor Mate says, where they're trying to find the way out. Um, we don't even realize that we're self-medicating with all of the things that life gives us, from Advil and Tylenol to the internet to fast cars and naked women. I mean, it can be anything that we would use to not focus on what we might be feeling. So I think this book is going to be a good one. I'm very interested to hear what he's got to say, and I'll tell you another thing too. All of your sharing is just like spot on. Thank you.
Yeah, the human psyche is unbelievably fragile. And yet we're so effing resilient at the same time as humans. Like, I know people that just live through unimaginable things every day, day after day after day after day, not just like, sorry,
You
just a second,
start.
not just like, um, something happened to him one time enough, but I'm talking about day after day after day. So we are incredible beings. And, um, each one of us has our own stuff. Like Dan, your mom had her stuff, and you've got your stuff, and it may or may not be related to her. It can, I mean, anger and frustration is a normal human emotion, which for some reason our society has decided that anger is bad and you're not supposed to show it or have it. And if you have it, if you get so angry that you hit a wall, you have to be ashamed of that, which, because you wouldn't want to do that with anybody else around and let them think something about you. That's shame. It, for That's shame for having it, a normal emotion. Now, maybe the expression of it, like I said, you got to learn how to hit softer shit. Maybe the expression of it, society has decided is, well, you can only express it this way, but not this way. Well, sometimes maybe you just need to hit step. Maybe you need to go to a batting cage. Maybe you need to play tennis. I know you like to play, it's not tennis, but it's where you hit the ball on the wall by yourself. Go do that. Yeah, go do that. Or, what I learned how to do because I lived with a wolf for 15 years, I howl. I howl to release those deep, dark emotions. When I get, especially sadness and grief, I howl. But I also howl when I'm happy. Howling is kind of a multi-directional expression. But it's important to allow yourself to express emotion, because if you don't, that's when you're going to wind up doing something you want to do, and because it'll build up and it'll build. I'm telling you this because I know, because I'm like the freaking queen of holding in emotion and then having it express in possibly pain. I mean, like he was saying, uh, emotional stuff expresses in the body physically, as far as chemically and hormonally, and the the neurotransmitters that our body releases when we're in emotional pain is almost exactly the same as when we're in physical pain. And so that's one of the reasons why we are able to mitigate our pain somewhat, not completely, but somewhat, through mental exercises like meditation and things like that, because you're calming the body, calming the nervous system down, whether that's from emotional pain or physical pain, you're calming that nervous system down. And so our body is very, and I don't know if he'll talk about it, he probably won't, but we've talked about it before here and other books that we've read. We pick up on other people's emotions that are around us, and even in the next apartment, or, you know, riding down the street, I pick up on emotions. I'm riding down the street. I can almost tell you if there's been an accident where someone was killed there, because sometimes the energy is just that stagnant. So we are beings that, good God, we're like, God is so, just like the most magnificent mathematician ever. Our God is. I mean, everything in this universe is based on math. Everything. And, it is fascinating to me how structured it is, and yet how it seems absolutely like
Nebulous.
everything is happening in the moment. Yes, exactly.
I
I think
absolutely
oh,
love that idea of howling. I am gonna implement that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to try that too. That sounds like an interesting way of letting it go. But and you did make a good point. Yes, I do play. I love tennis. It's my favorite sport. But I also learned that I love going and hitting the ball against a wall or a backboard somewhere, and where when I do that, it helps me release energy. And I'll be honest, I have not done that in a while, and I think it's because of all the stuff going on right now where I to keep my bills paid, to keep this, I'm out driving a lot more than I would be, and just to kind of, keep where I'm at. And I think that's another where some of my frustrations are. I think that's a bigger side effect of the one thing that was really irritating me the other night. Um, and so, yes, I have found over the years a way of release. Now, do I always take advantage of it? No, and that's part of the issue, and I know it. And but I wanted to bring up a point just in conjunction with just this last book we read about Nora and how she viewed herself, and her way of how she dealt with everything in a way was how, and her looking at herself was that she felt like she had nothing to live for, and that she was a very, you know, the reason for all the things happening to the other people in their lives. And so when, she finally was dying and she realized that, and she had all those different lives that she lived in those few moments that seemed like lifetimes. I think that's something that Hunting Discomfort, she was finally placed in a position where she kind of had to fight with that discomfort of realizing that she was really worth living and that she had a reason to live and all that. And I think sometimes, we get to that point in various ways, and our bodies, and I agree with you, Samantha, our bodies, and you, Kelton, that our bodies, after a while, physically take it on, and it can really become something that your body embodies, and until you get through it and decide to get past that, and like you said, go hunting that discomfort. um I guess that's maybe the way to push through. Like when I go hit the ball, it's my way of how I process. And sometimes I'm not even really thinking about the issue. I'm just hitting there and just hitting it. And as I'm hitting harder. And then I kind of just, release subconsciously, I think. And I think that's some of what this last book also was showing, that sometimes, we get to that point where we're so low, like for her on her deathbed, but for others of us like him, to that point where he did something he never wanted to do, was speak publicly. I've spoken publicly. That is hard, especially in front of all the ninth graders in your class. And you know that when you're up there and you're shaking with the paper in your hand as you're reading your speech, um, you're going to hear it from everybody afterwards. But later on, I went and taught some courses for H&R Block when I worked for them, and I kind of worked through that. And now, sometimes I get started and you can't shut me up like now, so I'll shut up.
think you guys all have some really great points. Really great points. From the talking in public to feeling the energies of things we aren't even aware, and we think that are part of us, but they're not, or there's something from our past that we haven't realized. Oh my goodness. Or um, having already, realizing that we're already self-medicating somehow and didn't even know it. I mean, goodness. I too had some second thoughts about the title of this book as well, Hunting Discomfort. But what I've the way I've chosen to look at it is that like many of you are looking at it, is that there are opportunities in the discomforts that we feel, but not that I'm going to go out and seek discomfort, and that not that I'm looking to attract that, but that this is something that the author's going through. I'm gonna let the book go, read the book all the way through before I either try to pass judgment or even try to utilize that title in any real uh, textual meanings of the word, of the phrase, but just that um, just that being able to go through our regular activities and notice where those discomforts are and recognize how we're reacting to them. I think that's so valuable. Not that we have to jump right into it and then go after that as an opportunity, but just to start off with recognizing them. And then, because it's more than just, okay, there's a awkward situation or a difficult moment, let me just um, jump right into that. uh, when you think about, when you really think about it, we have to kind of prepare ourselves for that. Um, Prepare ourselves for really the before, the during, and the after of that, especially if it's a serious, if it's something that really makes us upset or very uncomfortable, because we need to sort of prepare ourselves for um, not just recognizing it, but then reacting in the correct way, and then um, fishing out the real reasons and for that moment, because it's most of that uncomfortable feeling a lot of times is within our own heads and hearts, but we're also usually dealing with other people, and they don't know what's we're going through. So we need to consider what they're going through that's might have brought up this difficult moment, this confrontation or whatever it is. And then afterwards we're gonna have that retrospection and thoughtfulness to be like, wow, did that really happen? Did I act correctly? Do I now am I okay with the way I dealt with it, and all of that? So it is a bigger, it's not just as easy as going out and getting into the nitty gritty dirtiness, you know or hunting these things out and then attacking them, because really we need to prepare ourselves. And so I think just the discussion of this is really helpful into realizing what's, what there is, and that we can, there is growth to be had there, and that we can succeed at that growth as well. And we're all in it and the same way. And so I'll just leave one example real quick in regards to modern times. And this was brought up to me by another group I'm in, that in regards to, say, business, and you're running or just doing something online, where you're getting someone who is totally negative about what you're doing, and your heart's in a good place, what you're doing is on the up and up, but they want to find, they're just coming at you like what you're doing is a scam. And there's a lot of ways to react to that. But you don't know what's you know what you're feeling, and you know what you're worried about other people are feeling, but you don't know what's maybe in the heart and mind of the person who's doing that. And so if you don't really reach out to that person and find out, what is the concern, in a private way, so that you can figure it out, then there's really no way to react. But if you do, then there's opportunity to maybe find out, hey, they have a real concern, or maybe there's something that you didn't know was being shown on your site, or something that was giving them those indications. So, I guess I'm getting at that, keeping ourselves from jumping to conclusions about the discomfort, and even about the title of this book is, might be something as well to, a good thing to consider.
You always bring up an excellent point, Jason. I love it. It's if you don't seek out the things that cause you discomfort, how are you ever going to grow? And speaking to myself, ever learn to grow and advance, even though it might feel like you're regressing somehow.
Did you want to say something, Kenji? Because you unmuted, so.
Oh, I think about anger, and we're talking about being observant of how we might be feeling. I was a really, really old man before I could see my own behavior for what it really was. Anger was a big one for me, and it stemmed from feeling powerless, feeling like I had no control, and really, in some ways, not having control, and definitely being powerless. And anger, for like a baby, anger, you're like the Wizard of Oz. You huff and puff, and it's the only thing you got no power. I mean, it's the only thing you really got is to turn red and, I mean, threaten to, hurt the world. So I just carried that with me all the way into my adult life. I never really grew up because I was stuck. Like I said earlier, the human psyche is super fragile, and I'll be quick with this, but I've been talking to a friend of mine in Arkansas, and I mean, I love him to death, and tells me how observant he is, and all of these things, and and my mind was thinking that the evidence is to the contrary, if you get my drift. The person has without being overly judgmental, health issues that I mean, could cause him problems. And in some ways that's like the alcohol. It's what he's grabbing onto. In this case, it's food, it's a place, it's alcohol, drugs, or whatever. But sometimes it's all of it. And not really knowing. And you look around, and I'm not saying that I'm judgmental, but I'm not saying everybody that's skinny doesn't have problems. I'm just saying that a lot of us wear this on our shirt, on our shoulders, I mean. Even those, you look at the face of somebody that's been mentally abused for their entire life, they don't look very healthy. It tends to age them. So, I mean, this is real life. We see it every day. I mean, you see it every day, Dan, if you're in traffic. And I especially in Vegas, if you flip somebody the bird, I mean, you better duck because you never know. I mean, but that's enough for me. Thank you so much.
I was going to say it's interesting, years later, and we've been going through a lot of books, and what I've learned is there's so much that we are alike, but at the same time, there's so much that we are so different, each and every one of us, that I think I hope we are. I hope we're here for another 10 years or so, still going through different books and things, growing and learning, because I think there is that much still to grow and learn about ourselves, and that, we've gone through so many different things. A lot of it was, self-help for like business and mental attitude and stuff, and that's great, and we use that for what it was, but and I don't know where the future might lead, but I believe that, through this, we are continually learning something, even about ourselves. And it's from different aspects, different views, different ways of looking at it. And something's going to resonate with maybe not me all the time, but it could be with you, Kenneth, or with, Lori, or, and another time it could be another book, and, and, there have been a couple times where I was not too sure about the books we were doing. One of them was when we did the Wayne Dyer book, Change Thoughts, Change Your Mind. That one somehow just had a weird, profound effect on me, that what we went through, after a year and a half going through that. That was a long book. And then going through this last one, with Nora and, the Midnight Library, I think there was a lot in that one that none of us really perceived or thought would be in there, and yet there was so much in that. So I think, I believe we're on the right track. We're constantly asking questions, we're constantly looking, trying to learn and grow, but at the same time also try and help build each other up, strengthen each other, and not judge or anything, because we've all shared things that we've gone through and what we dealt with in our lives, but none of us have judged each other either, because we realize the value in who each one of us are in ourselves and who they are. And so that's just something that I've picked up over the course of the years we've been doing this.
It says something for the adage that we've all heard: don't judge a book by its cover or its title.
That's true. Well, one thing I want to say is we have read a wide variety of books. And yeah, that one book did take over a year to read. That was The Wisdom of the Tao. And I know that in fact, I was going to mention it in my last comment and forgot. I was going to say that there have been many books, or several books, Dan, that I knew that you were kind of uncomfortable going into. And as a matter of fact, we had members leave that had been with us a long time. So I was really glad that you stuck with us, and not only were there, but you were open enough that I saw you benefit from them. And so I think that we do, as a group, we are already seeking discomfort in some of the books that we've read and the concepts that we have addressed. And I want to go back to this. I have to go back to this one part of the chapter that I read. It says, in fact, our conscious mind filters out all but 0.000000455% of it. So we're working with an abacus here, you guys. And I think we're doing pretty good. You know, like you said, Dan, I think we're on the right path. We're doing the right things. Um, a little bit further down, it says the challenge is that it speaks in sensations, images, and emotions. And I think in our busy world, most people just miss those things. You know, you're just busy with whatever you're doing, and we miss those sensations and images and emotions. And I can tell you with 100% conviction, because you guys know I'm studying mediumship right now, and this is how these spirits connect with me, is through images, emotions, feelings. I mean, I do like hear them and but they show you that's how the universe communicates with us. And as humans, the main form of communication that we're taught is like speaking and hearing, and we don't really get taught all those other ones. And so we're being spoken to all of the time, and we just don't even realize it. And it's super fascinating when you start asking questions and getting answers that you should have no knowledge to. And it's open to anyone that wants to ask those questions. So I just had to go back to that one part of the remind us what we're working with here. But I think we're doing a great job. And yeah, I want to be here 10 years from now too. I don't know. How will we connect? It'll be totally like telepathic by that time.
However, it's going to be, 10 years is not long enough. And my jaw dropped with that figure of 0.0, whatever that number was.
Yeah, I
Takes
was astounded that how much is like he said, it's filtered out through our body that we don't even really think about, or that we really look at, or that we deal with. That's just an insane amount. And
It's no wonder
what
that
if
we have all this kinetic energy in our body, right? If our body's filtering out that much, doesn't it make sense that you'd want to hit a wall once in a while? Like if you're not
yeah,
finding a way to express your energy.
yeah, but think of all that. If we did deal with all that, wow, I mean, we'd probably be a puddle on the floor.
And I can
if you
totally
really think
understand. Go ahead. And I can totally understand how my body is reacting with the intention tremors, and how it can be that it affects my nervous system, and trying to figure out how to stop that, And it's no wonder they haven't figured out, well, other than the pharmaceutical industry, figured out cures for things that they probably have already, but it's not profitable financially for them.
Excuse me, sorry. Well, it's a little after 8, so I'm gonna throw out as we try and wrap up here, if there are any last thoughts or ideas from anybody, go ahead and share, and then we'll see about wrapping it up.
Have a great week, everybody. Go out and howl.
Owl, yeah. Or
Oh,
scream in a pillow. You know, that you brought up a great point, Dan, and you know, I think everybody reaches those points to where you just kind of have to let it out. And if you don't have an outlet, you know, you might choose, you know, it might just kind of slip out or whatever. It is good to have an outlet, you know, figure out something beforehand. Um, you know, even those, you know, balance is so important in our lives, and even the amount of sunlight that we get, uh, you know, if you're indoors a lot, even if you're outdoors, but you're, you know, in your car and you're not really getting any sun, um, you know, you can start feeling a certain way and you may not realize it, but you just need to get a little bit of sunshine and get that light in your eyes and get that sun on your skin, and that it does have an actual effect. It's not just a emotional effect. It's actually, you know, something our body needs. Um, and yeah, and you know, this you know, like I said before, I was just, you know, I'm not going to go hunting more discomfort, but I am looking to have new ways of thinking about and understanding any discomfort that I might feel throughout my you know, normal daily activities, or um, you know, conversations or interactions with people, because it's just odd to me sometimes that when I will get a weird feeling, or a little bit of anxiety in a situation, and I don't know where it comes from. So it's like, you know, sometimes I want to know what, you know, why that's there. Sometimes I just want to, like, not to have that issue, because I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know why it might, you know, it's affecting me, but it's not. Most of the time I'm, you know, it's kind of like when you're out there public speaking again, and you can get through it all, and people come up to you afterwards and go, "Oh, you did such a great job," and stuff. And and then you're just like, I was a wreck the whole way through, you know. In your mind, you're thinking, I don't know, I don't even remember it. What did I say? It's you know, you can put it um, behind you, or you can ignore it, or you can filter it out, whatever, however you want to look at it. But when it continues to affect you, you know, those butterflies, you just kind of want a way to, like, just, you know, okay, turn it off. Now let me just, you know, hey, there's no reason for it. But I think most public speakers who have even been doing it for a very long time, I've heard quite a few of them talk about how they would get butterflies every time before they went on stage. So um, it doesn't really, you know, that kind of gives me encouragement that it's, you know, it's not only is it um, nothing to worry about having that, um, and maybe even it's a kind of a nice roller coaster to go through and feel you that you're alive, um, but that, you know, that you don't have to be upset with yourself that you're not being able to you know, figure out and get rid of it completely. Um, uh, but for me, trying to figure out where it's coming from, and maybe get better at um, dealing with it. I think that's definitely a plus. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you so much for everything you guys have been mentioning, and looking forward to hearing more. Thanks.
Well, if nobody else has anything to say, I guess we'll wrap that up. So once again, if you're watching this on YouTube or from our website, or if you come across us on Facebook, you can find us at Facebook at Mindset Mastery Collective, and there's information about how to join us there. You can also go to our website at mindsetmasterycollective.com. That has all the information there. Or if you're watching the replay of this on YouTube, once again, there's ways to get there. And on YouTube, we're at Mindset Mastery Collective. So we look forward and would love to have you join us on our next panel. As for this one, we've opened up 10 spots. We might have a couple left. So if you want to join us, you can get hold of one of us and we can see about helping you out on that. But we look forward to you joining us next week on the Saturday Morning Mastermind. For that, see you next week. Bye. Okay. Oh, there.